And so, hello there. Welcome back to another Night of the Movies podcast. And in these podcasts, I talk all things movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, I'm reviewing still a Michael J. Fox movie. But before I do that, I should say what I say at the start of every podcast I do, that if you are watching this podcast on YouTube, hello there to my viewers, but heck, you're just not in the right place right now, you don't have enough time wherever you're at to watch the full podcast on YouTube, then you can also check the podcast out audibly on Spotify and Night of the Movies on that platform. And if you are already listening on Spotify, hello there to podcast listeners, then you can also check the podcast out visually on my YouTube channel at Night of the Movies on that platform as well. Likewise, whatever you might be watching or listening to the podcast, please feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the podcast, of course, and also leave me some feedback so I know what to improve on in these podcasts. You know, there's always things to improve on, and give me some suggestions or things to talk about in future podcasts as well, because I'd love to get some suggestions. Honestly, I'd love to have any comments in the comment section below on YouTube whatsoever, but just, yeah, would love some viewer responses. But anyway, let's get straight into it, shall we, today? And let's get straight into my review of Still a Michael J. Fox movie. So Still a Michael J. Fox movie is directed by Davis Guggenheim, and it follows the story as told by Michael J. Fox himself on his rise to fame and popularity in Hollywood and his diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, and how that affected him personally, and how that affected his acting career, and how he tried to deal with it in his acting career, and then how he started to embrace Parkinson's, and also how he lives with the condition nowadays. And it's all told in a very compelling and very fascinating way. And this documentary is just absolutely fantastic, and it works on so many levels. Like, not only is it informative to someone like me who doesn't really know what Parkinson's disease entails, because luckily enough I've never had anyone around me who has suffered from Parkinson's disease, and so I was watching this and I was going, oh, this is what it's like for somebody. I didn't really know that. I mean, I knew kind of what it was like, but I didn't really know, in great detail. But not only is it informative, it's also wildly entertaining. Like, it's really enjoyable to watch, and it's really engaging, and it's really well made, and it's just a really great watch as well. It's so entertaining. And Davis Guggenheim, again, I think that's how I pronounce the director's name, and apologies if it's not, he did a great job selecting all this footage from Michael J. Fox movies, as well as, recreating certain moments of Michael J. Fox's life, but making it fit in together with the footage that we see of Michael J. Fox in this documentary. He did this superb job of just selecting everything, putting things together, and the filmmakers, the editors behind this film did a great job editing it as well. Honestly, it's constantly engaging, and it's constantly riveting, and it's constantly compelling because of all those reasons. There's segments later on in the film where you see Michael J. Fox filming the likes of Spin City, and he's trying to hide his Parkinson's disease, and that is really fascinating, the way it's done, the way it's edited, and the way that Michael J. Fox is narrating over it as well, because this film is narrated by Michael J. Fox himself. That's one of the things I love about the film. That's one of the things I absolutely adore about this movie, is the fact that it's Michael J. Fox's story told by Michael J. Fox. And so what you get is a documentary about someone with Parkinson's disease, and not only just somebody, but a beloved star who has Parkinson's disease, speaking about it very openly, and also adding a bit of comedy in about it, and telling it in a very candid, telling his story in a very candid way. Because in the first half of the documentary, on the first segment of the documentary, you see him talking about his rise to fame in Hollywood, and him getting the jobs and him struggling to get jobs, and then how he got Family Ties and how he got to Back to the Future, and then how he became this huge star so quickly, and how it was just absolutely crazy for him. But then also you see him talking about how when he was first diagnosed with Parkinson's, he started to neglect his family and would go to different countries and shoot movies. And then also you see him talk about how he was really struggling to hide his Parkinson's disease, to hide his diagnosis, whilst filming, like I said before, the likes of Spin City. And he speaks very openly about the troubles that he's been through and how he is now. One of my favourite parts of this film is in the first 20 minutes, I don't know, might be, might not be. It's in the first half of the film when David Guggenheim, who I think is behind the camera, he was interviewing Michael J. Fox. I think it's him, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it is. He's interviewing Michael J. Fox and he goes, so how would you, what are you going to be like in 20 years' time? I think that's around the question he asks. And Michael J. Fox goes, I think in 20 years' time, I'm going to be a pickle. And it's just really funny moments like that I think you would only get if it was somebody like Michael J. Fox telling the story. And that's what you have in this film. You have Michael J. Fox telling his story about his troubles with Parkinson's, but also telling it, like I said before, in a very Michael J. Fox fashion, where he's throwing comedy in there that is genuinely funny and that you laugh at. You might have quite a serious moment in the documentary where Michael J. Fox admits something that's been, as something that's quite heartbreaking that's happened to him because of Parkinson's, and then a comedic line is just thrown in though straight after, and it's this perfect balance of, comedy mixed with heartbreak, and at the same time mixed with engagement, mixed with entertainment, and that's what you get in this film, which just makes it such a great watch. The fact that yes, it is informative to somebody like me who doesn't really know about Parkinson's disease, but also it's wildly entertaining and it's funny as well. It's not like a lecture, it's not like a lesson. You sit there and you are smiling in certain parts of the film, even though what you're watching it might be quite heartbreaking. You're smiling because of the way Michael J. Fox is telling his story in those moments. And yeah, I love the fact that he got to tell his story because it was told in such a way that it never felt too sad. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are sad moments in the film, of course, right? It's about our beloved star that we all know and love, who now has Parkinson's disease and is really struggling with it. But those moments are also, like I said before, perfectly balanced by these moments which are laugh out loud funny and engaging moments, and moments that are just so entertaining and at times exciting as well. One of my favourite parts of the documentary was seeing all the build up to Back to the Future and how all the placement of different footage from different films and how recreation from David Guggenheim was done in those moments. Hopefully you get what I mean there. But the way it was all built up to, I love all the Back to the Future stuff that they did in the documentary. Maybe I do because I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. But also I love how the needle drops were used as well. Like, one thing I didn't expect from this documentary was to actually have needle drops whatsoever. But there are quite a few needle drops used, famous songs, and the most notable, in my opinion, is Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses, a brilliant rock song, one of just an absolute banger. That's used in the film, and it's used when Michael J. Fox has got to this huge, popularity. He's rose to humongous fame in Hollywood, and that's used, and it's used to convey all this craziness, but I just think it's used perfectly. I think all the needle drops are used so well, and yeah, they really encapsulate certain moments of Michael J. Fox's life that is portrayed in the film. And I love how candid it is as well. I love how honest it feels. And, I just love it. I really do. I really love this documentary. And I think my only criticism, and it's a bit of a funny criticism when you think about it, is I wanted the film to be longer. Because it's got a runtime of about an hour and 34 minutes, and that is a nice runtime. I like runtimes like that sometimes when you're in and you're out within 90 minutes or so. And that's what you have with this film, and it is tight, it's to the point, and I like how it doesn't dwell on anything for too long, like what he's spoken about. But one of my criticisms with the film, to be honest, probably my biggest criticism, is I just would like there to be more focus on the family side of everything, especially the family side of everything, with him nowadays. Like, you do get to see a lot about his family in the film. There's a lot of stuff about his wife and how he first met his wife and how, she reacts to the diagnosis, to his diagnosis. And also, you do see his kids in the film and you see the way they are with him. And there's some very good moments with him and his family in the film that I just would like to see a bit more of. I just would like to see a bit more of a deep dive into how his family's react to his diagnosis. I mean, saying that may have made the documentary a lot more sadder. It may have made it a lot more of a heartbreaking watch, and it's already a heartbreaking watch as it is. But, maybe there was a right decision not to focus on the family too much, but a part of me wanted to see a bit more of his family, though, in this film. And also, I just wanted to see more of it, really, because I just love the storytelling. I love how engaging it was, and I love how it was really informative about Parkinson's disease, but it was informative in an enjoyable way. So I would have watched 2.5 to 3 hours of this. I really would have. And at the same time, though, saying that, if it was 3 hours, it probably would have got a bit too sad in a couple of moments, or in way too many moments. And maybe if it was that long, you wouldn't have had that perfect balance. But I just personally would have liked a bit more of a focus on the family. But saying that, it's a great film. It really is. And I love how this story was told. I love how engaging it was. I love how compelling it was. I love how fascinating it was as well. I love selection of footage from Michael J. Fox's career. I even love the recreation of certain moments of Michael J. Fox's life which weren't initially caught on camera. So what I mean by that is Davis Guggenheim, again, not sure that's how I pronounce the director's name. I'm always a bit iffy because I'm not entirely sure. So whenever I say his name in this podcast, I'm like, is that really how you pronounce it? But yeah, Davis Guggenheim, he, in this film, in this documentary, has recreated certain moments of Michael J. Fox's life. And usually when directors do that in a documentary, it takes me out of the documentary because I'm like, okay, that's clearly recreation. It doesn't feel real anymore. It feels like the director or the filmmakers behind the documentary are trying to manipulate us to feel a certain way. But in this film, it didn't bother me. In this film, all the recreation of certain moments in Michael J. Fox's life did not bother me, which is something I really didn't expect to say. And also, I really didn't expect to say that it was wildly entertaining. Pardon me there. That's not something you expect someone to say about this film, the fact that it was wildly entertaining, because it's a film about someone that has Parkinson's. But it is really entertaining. And if you're a fan of Michael J. Fox, or if you're a fan of any of his films whatsoever, I would really recommend this one. I'd really recommend this documentary. I understand that not everybody's going to have access to it because it's on Apple TV Plus, and not everybody has Apple TV Plus. But if you do have Apple TV Plus, how many times can I say Apple TV Plus in the space of 30 seconds? But if you do have Apple TV Plus, no, I'd definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it. I'm late to the party, and I'm annoyed that I'm late to the party in this film because it is now one of my favourite films of the year so far. It is so good. And I know we're only in June, and I know we've got many great movies this summer coming up and late this year coming up as well, but this one, I've got a feeling, is going to stick with me for a while and probably will make my top 10 at the end of the year list. I mean, it may not, but I've got a good feeling it will, because it's a really great watch, and it's so good. Like, it's really, really good. It's informative, it's compelling, it's fascinating, and it's also just very enjoyable to watch. And for all those reasons, I loved it. I loved how real it felt as well. God, it's great, and I would really recommend it. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that's still a Michael J. Fox movie. I'm going to say that it's a 9 out of 10. It is brilliant. It's so good. And I don't really know if I have anything else to say about it. Just have a quick look at my notes. No, not really. I mean, a couple of notes in case you only skipped to this chapter in the video, if you will. It's 90 minutes, well, just over 9 minutes, but, you know, it's within the 90-minute runtime, and it's tight to the point, and so, you know, it hits the sweet pot, what am I trying to say? The sweet point for many people, yeah, because lots of people love 90-minute films, you know, films within that 90-minute runtime, and this film has that 90-minute runtime that's really, you know, really efficient and quick and to the point, and it doesn't mess around, and, you know, it does have those heartbreaking moments. And one thing I haven't really touched on is how moving the documentary is at times as well. It got very moving in certain parts, and very emotional to the point that I was almost in tears. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, no, 2 minutes later in the documentary, not even 2 minutes later, 30 seconds later in the documentary, after I'd almost be in tears, I would be laughing. That's just how good it is. And yet it's perfectly balanced. You know, it doesn't feel awkward, though, sort of, you know, jumping from laughing to almost crying. No, it works. The documentary just works. And it's great. It's really great. Compelling, fascinating, and very engaging, and just an all-round brilliant watch, and an incredible film in my opinion. An absolutely incredible film, and one of my films of the year so far. And I've got a feeling it's going to be there by the end of the year as well. Although saying that, I know we're only in June, but still, yeah. Brilliant film that I absolutely love. And that's why I'm going to say that still a Michael J. Fox movie is a 9 out of 10 from me. Anyway, guys, that's it for the podcast for today. Now, if I time this correctly, this podcast is going to be coming out, I think, on a Wednesday, and I'm going to be taking a bit of a break from podcasting for a while over the next week, just because I want a bit of time off, and I may or may not be on holiday. So, yes, I'm going to take a bit of time off from podcasting for the next week or so, although I will have another video out on the YouTube channel, so look out for that when it comes out, but I won't have another podcast up till probably a week or so. You know, I'll probably have another podcast up in about a week or so time, and that podcast will probably be about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I know by the time that this podcast has come out, I'm pre-recording this about a week in advance, by the way, so I'm trying to do this all in my head right now. By the time this podcast has come out, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse will probably already be out, but I wouldn't have seen it. So by the time I come back from wherever I may be, I will get a chance to see that. I will try and go and see it, and that's when my next podcast will be on. So there you go. And yes, I'll have podcasts coming back again soon, but just having a short break because it's the summer and I feel like it. But I will have another video coming within the next week. But until then, guys, thank you as always for watching or listening to the podcast, and go and check out still a Michael J. Fox movie. It's absolutely brilliant and I can't recommend it enough. And also, if you haven't yet, please you click down below, like, subscribe on this podcast, wherever you're listening or watching the podcast, and also look forward to many podcasts coming very, very soon on this channel. And yeah, I suppose I'll see you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye.